Still lying on the hospital bed, she felt too weak and tired. Suddenly, she hears the voice. It's an emergency. There's no time. Hurry up and sign the papers. And the footsteps went outside the room with the lightning speed. The biggest fear of her life was facing her with full power. Some old memories started playing in her head. Memories of her cousin, her favorite cousin, who had lost her life in childbirth complications. The history was going to repeat itself today. With this thought, she started to lose the hope of her life. Suddenly, the phone rang. She saw the screen. The angelic voice on the other side said, "Stay strong. Nothing will happen to you. The God is with you." Before she could utter a single word, her body was shifted like a heavy luggage from bed to stretcher and moved towards the elevator. She was taken to a gloomy room. Someone stabbed right in the center of the backbone, as if it was an attempt to murder her, with the general anesthesia. She was brought to an extra bright room, as if all the chandeliers of the large kingdom were lit together. She started to lose her conscience. Her lower body was frozen like a dead meat. Her arms wrapped in thick cover filled with pressure. She couldn't move her arms or neck, but she could still see or hear her surroundings. A green curtain hung from the ceiling to divide her body in two parts. From the right corner of her eyes, she could see the glass window. A man was knocking on the window, but nobody opened the door to let him in. He had no option than to scratch his head or bite his nails with the impatience. Then her eyes moved up to ceiling where there was a round mirror and she could see hazy movie of other side of the curtain. Six blue gloved hands moving in a rhythm like a perfect orchestra. Caesar and knives were exchanging hands like the pass the parcel game, but there was no music. She could see a round pool of blood filled with some stones where two hands were rushing inside as if they were trying to find a treasure. Soon she lost her interest in that dumb, boring, mute movie which was full of bloodshed. She closed her eyes to relax. 30 minutes later, a voice emerged from the deep silence. "Congratulations, it's a girl. The time is 10:10." That was the sweetest voice she could ever heard in that hospital. Then the baby cried in that same standard tone and voice you would have heard in the Bollywood movies. The baby was clearly upset to be kicked out of her safe and protected heaven. Then the nurse brought the baby closer, wrapped in soft pink towel. The extreme corner of her eyes met with the most beautiful, wide awake, curious eyes, which were smiling at her with deep intensity and love. She had already stopped crying, as if she had recognized her and felt safe now. They exchanged looks for about 20 seconds. Then a tear trickled down his face and went directly into his mouth. The taste of that tear was sweet. Maybe that's how the tear of joy should taste. She could not move her arms to touch or hold her. The nurses rubbed their cheeks together. Their first conversation was through the eyes. Their first hug was through the cheeks. And the first dessert to celebrate her arrival was that sweet drop of tear in her mouth. Then the OT door opened. The man rushed in with millions of emotions on his face. The angry one on the doctors to not let him in. The concerned one to check whether she was all right. The relieving one to see she was alive. And then the happiest one to hear that sound. "Congratulations, it's a girl. Time is 10:10." He held the baby into one arm, brought her in closer to his heart, wrapped another arm onto lady's head, kissed on his forehead, and then they exchanged glances with each other with the smiling faces as if they were trying to pose for the family pic together to an invisible camera. The baby was put an orange colored tag on her left wrist as an entry pass to have party in this world. There was a different shine on lady's face to conquer the biggest fear of her life. There was a proud on the man's face as if he has won a battle. And the little bundle of magic looked at them as if she winked and said, "The party has just begun." Thank you.
क्या बात, बहुत good. So
Thank
good,
you.
Kanchan. बहुत अच्छा. So this was, I think, your own experience.
Yes, sir.
अरे वाह, क्या बात है. So you have penned down. It's very well. बहुत अच्छा है, and your narration was amazing.
Thank
उषा जी.
you.
Kanchan, I could relate to each and every word of yours here, except the man who was knocking from outside, because as my husband was a doctor, he was let in. Mine was also a cesarean. All the other emotions I had gone through. And it was picture perfect, and it was so realistic, each word used by you. It had that, the five senses impact on the listeners, beautifully uh, penned down. Yeah, it's always the experience of being a mother. It's always unforgettable.
Thank you, ma'am.
चारू.
कंचन जी, मेरे सामने तो पूरा पूरा आपने पिक्चर क्रिएट कर दिया. आई कुड लाइक विजुअलाइज ईच एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड द बेस्ट पार्ट वाज दैट मुझे नहीं पता था ये आपका खुद का एक्सपीरियंस है. तो मे बी लाइक योर गर्ल चाइल्ड वाज born at 10:10, बट 10:10 also has a very very significant meaning also. Like हम जितने भी क्लॉक्स के ऐड हम देखते हैं, they are stopped at 10:10. So 10:10 is मतलब I don't remember exactly, मेरे को गूगल करना पड़ेगा, but it is a communication with the universe, that is said. So but I will still have to Google, I'm not very sure. तभी वो सारे जितने भी हमारे घड़ी के ऐड आते थे, it used to be at 10:10. So but this, it was really beautiful. I could like imagine the fear and the joy, everything. This was beautiful.
Thank you, Charu.
नीता जी, अनम्यूट कर ली.
वेरी नाइसली नरेटेड. बहुत अच्छा, बिल्कुल पिक्चराइज जैसा हो गया. बहुत अच्छा था.
Thank you.
दिव्या जी.
बहुत अच्छा. एकदम खो गई थी मैं इस स्टोरी में. जैसे ऐसा लग रहा था कि पता नहीं, मतलब रियली पिक्चर एकदम से सामने, जैसे मूवी चल रही है इस तरह से आपने इसको बिल्कुल एक्सप्लेन किया है और लिखा है. बहुत ही अच्छा, बहुत सुंदर. वेरी नाइस.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much, Kanchan.